Hey guys, my name is Bryce, and today I've got a very special video for you. I've got a video of a deck profile for you of Karakuri, but it's not including Crystron Halifibrax, because I don't currently have my hands on it yet, and due to being, indoors, staying away from the virus and everything right now, it seems like as good a time as ever to release what I've been playing at locals and testing quite a bit for what I'm confident in, and testing a lot online, and I'll have a example for you of that in another video. But let's get into it, starting with the main deck. We're gonna have a lot of copies of 3 of Karakuri Gamma. So we've got our level 1. This is constantly being special summoned out by the larger synchros to synchro climb and everything. So it's got the special ability from graveyard. It can banish itself to change the battle position of another Karakuri monster you control. You can only do it once per turn, which is a drag, so try and keep that in mind as you're going through if there's other ways you can shift things around with Strategist, which we'll get into in a minute. Then we've got 3 of the Merchant. NSCG is just excellent. Can't say enough good things about him for being able to search through the deck when normal summoned, but there's quite a few ways to normal summon in this deck. Next we've got Naneshi, speaking of which, they work so well together to just make an Naturia beast if you're in a pinch and you need to, but moreover, she is great at just giving you an extra normal summon if it's for a Karakuri monster specifically. So she's a great extender, and again, you can special summon her from the deck if you've got, one of the Gammas in your hand, and you're trying to synchro climb still, so she's got even more utility now than before. Next, we've got the Strategist. He's your way to shift things around aside from having Gamma, kind of the classic one to do that. It's another way to simply actually force your opponent to flip up a Shadala card or something else, to sort of force interactions a little bit more. Sometimes it's nice, where you can just shift something from defense to attack, which is going to happen more in April, but I'm playing not in the April format yet, so I'll get there when I get there. Next, we've got 3 Saizan. Yeah, the reason I'm playing 3 of these, even though it's not a machine duplication target, I'll get to in a minute. Because there's some extenders that are, appreciating having multiples of these. And again, if you bring this out for other means, it is a level 4 tuner, so if you've got the level 5 non-tuners out, then you can quickly go into the level 9 now, which is nice. So for the extenders, we've got 3 silver gadgets, an ultra rare, which is nice when it's normal or special summon. Special summon a level 4 machine monster from your hand. And if it's just straight by battle artifact, you can special summon a level 4 gadget from the deck, except silver gadget. Only use it once per turn. So even if you're worried about going second, gets destroyed, you can still special summon a replacement gadget, and as well you get to bring up one of your level 4s, which is great. Even though it specifies level 4, which you're like, wait, Bryce, you've got no other level 4s in here so far aside from this. I'll get to it. There's a few others that really help a lot. Next, we've got gold rare, gold gadget playset, because why not? It's got slightly higher stats, but I like having 6 of these, because if you're really stuck, you can always set one of them, and your opponent has to sort of blow up through several of them as they're special summoning from your deck. The main thing about this is less draw power in the deck and more about just special summoning out from the deck, so I know in particular what I'm getting. Next, 3 Infinitrack Anchor Drill. I really can't wait until the Spore comes out, which lets you search for a Infinitrack card, because that will be an even better starter for this. But yeah, this does so much work of being a level 4 non-tuner that can, special summon out any of these Earth, machine monsters that, what does it specify again? Yeah, it's normal or special summoned. So again, if it's special summoned from a gadget card, you can further extend into other things. But if it's normal or special summoned, you can special summon 1 Earth machine monster per hand in defense position. That matters because you can etc. Except for Infinitrack Anchor Drill. Also, this sometimes comes up. You can target one of the machine monsters you control. The levels of both that monster and this card become combined levels of those 2 monsters until the end of this turn. So there's some extra level manipulation in case you want to kind of jump into single climbing up higher, quicker. Kind of situational, but still, it's good to keep that in mind. If they can't, it's great. You can just discard a card, you know, with a lot of sort of graveyard hate and everything like that recently. I've tried to make it straight from the deck, and I've, you know, at least got called by the grave to answer to Ash Blossom, but, you know, just simply having this as a level 5 non-tuner, any of your tuners, aside from, you know, just having Gamma out. But ideally, yeah, Nanishi, you've got 3 of those. Nishipachi, you've got 3 of those. Then you can even bring out Saizan as well. You know, you're looking at 9 really good cards to have in hand. I want to have 2 because if it is stuck with the only one in your hand, then immediately these are useless. So you can have some dead draws, unfortunately, but in my experience, as long as they're shuffling very well after each game, it actually hasn't been an issue yet. So maybe I just need to play more, or I've been lucky with that. Next, we've got Mare. As you can guess, we are playing Yazi, but I'll get into that in a minute. Main decking it without knowing if I'm going first or second is weird, but the funny thing about this deck is that there's so many special summons and normal summons happening. It's actually possible where I've been able to make Saryuja on my first turn. So for example, if I've got Guitar, yeah, I'm gonna have that out of deck, and I've got, let's say, you know, Nanishi and Merchant. You know, a ridiculous hand, but all the same. These cards in hands, and oh no, a Mare. Why am I main decking this? Well, all I need to do is, oh yeah, and I need to have like some, you know, extra card in hand. So opening hand, not great to start with, but what I can do, I can, you know, normal summon Nanishi, normal summon Merchant, you know, use Merchant to search for, yeah, Karakuri Bones, added to hand. Not using the effect of that just yet, because what I want to do is next activate Guitar. If activation's fine, then I'll discard a card, special summon out Mike's, and that gets me my extra normal summon. Tribute summon with these 2 rather, there we go. Then I've got Mare, and then furthermore from there, I can make a bunch of the tokens, because I'll have sort of open spaces and everything like that, and I'm still keeping my non-tuner Karakuri monster ready to go to Synchro with Bones. I'll be able to, you know, sort of get an extra card advantage and things like that. So weird scenario, but it's happened enough times to sort of make a note of it, that this is not dead in your opening hand. You know, under reasonable conditions, but there's so many copies of certain cards in here that I've been lucky enough to pull off, you know, sort of various versions of that, you know, a few times so far in what I've been playing with. So that's been fun. Next, going into the spells, because I'm not playing any traps in this deck. It's very much a glass cannon style, which I like quite a lot, and seems to be following quite a few of the other examples I've seen online. Of course, there is trap support, but I'll get into that in a whole other video for this. Anyway, we've got 3 Called by the Grave, because Ash Blossom absolutely kills this deck. I mean, many things do, to be fair, but that's something that most people are going to be having, I imagine, or at least this has been something I've been facing against, and every single time it's been outstanding to protect me from the wrath of that. Speaking of wrath, there's not too many people out there with Lightning Storm just yet, until, you know, it's, you know, in special editions or whatever that, you know, is lowering the price. Blackout Curtain is my super cheap answer to that. I'm not running 3, I'm just running 2, because I don't want to have it opening up too much, even if it's, you know, just an extra one's discard fodder for Guitar or something like that. But still, if cards, you know, potential plural, you control be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can destroy this card instead of one of those cards. That's the main thing. Furthermore, if cards your opponent controls will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead of one of those cards. You can only use each effect of Blackout Curtain once per turn. Main one's number 1, but number 2, I mean, if you actually discard this intentionally going second, you know, you have one of your big Karakuris swing into an opponent's monster that's weaker, and you actually have it survive battle on purpose for another beating, then, you know, there could be benefits from that or something, just depending on what they sort of have as a board. And lastly, we have Machine Duplication, just a classic example of why I'm running so many of these targets because it's just excellent as getting materials that you need for starting your link plays and everything like that. Yeah, I just think this is great. This is why I'm not running so many of the things that get me to draw into cards, which might potentially mess up my whole machine duplication thing. If I were to take this out, the whole deck would change fundamentally. Next, let's get into the extra deck. Classic Naturia Beast, just great at stopping things. Certainly going first in game 2 if I know my opponent's playing pendulums or some other very spell important thing. Yeah, absolute staple that just fits so easily into this deck. It's not that difficult to make. Next, I'm running 2 Shogun Beret, your level 7 that is basically able to, as all these are special summoning out, you probably know if you're watching this video, but if you're not familiar, when this card is Synchro summoned, you can special summon one Karakuri monster from your deck. All of the Karakuri Synchro monsters have this ability. Just getting that out of the way. This one's unique ability is once per turn, you can target one monster in the field, change its battle position. Doesn't happen too much when there's a whole link board, obviously, but going into April could be more useful if your opponent just tries to wall up with things. Next, you've got 2 Burrito. This is the one that gets you draws. If I know I'm going to be going into the one following this, I can actually chain on top of, let's say I special summon out, Beret, special summoning out Gamma as a result. Then I Synchro climb into Burrito. Upon its summon, what I can do is, as it's trying to special summon from deck, I can actually chain Gamma from graveyard to switch its battle position to let me draw a card as it's sort of special summoning out another Gamma from deck. So I make sure I don't draw into one accidentally, and at the very least I can sort of capitalize on whatever I end up drawing. At least it's not going to be something that I'd much prefer to special summon from deck. It's a bit of a weird thing, so practice it at home a bit. I'll try and do an example in another video, but I find that's quite useful to make use of special summoning from deck without kind of screwing yourself over with, missing the right targets you want to bring out eventually. So 2 of those. Then 2 of the new star, Burebu. This is your sort of Omni removal card. Or I shouldn't say Omni, but at least once per turn, if the battle position of a face-up Karakuri monster you control is changed, except during the damage step, which is annoying, but at least there's within the text. All these are saying if this card is targeted for an attack, so it's before the damage step. Once per turn, if the battle position of face-up Karakuri monster you control is changed, except during damage step, target one card. Target's annoying, but anyway, target one card your opponent controls and banish it. I wish they had non-targeting removal, but hey, it's 3000 attack. It still gets you to special summon a Karakuri monster from your deck. And it's just something great that you can make multiples of if you play your cards right, which I quite like. Then the last synchro, second last synchro is Satellite Warrior. If you are not restricted by Karakuri Bonds effect, what you can do is by making a level 7 first, and imagine your first game going second, your opponent doesn't seem to have negate setup or something like that, or at least you're able to target and destroy things one by one. You climb all the way up to this, and then what you end up with is you bring up Burebu last, special summon out Gamma, and climb into this. And what you end up doing is, if this card is Synchro summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of Synchro monsters in your graveyard, which could be as little as 3 if you're starting with making a level 7 and going up from there. Obviously less depending on how you climb and everything, but target cards your opponent controls up to the number of Synchro monsters in your graveyard, destroy them, and if you do, this card gains 1000 attack for each card destroyed. If this Synchro summoned card is destroyed, you can special summon level up to 3 level 8 or lower warrior synchron and restore this monster. The rest of that doesn't really matter. You can only activate each effect of Satellite Warrior once per turn. Main thing is you can get this to be a 5500 attack monster that has, consequently in the right setup, potentially destroyed 3 of your opponent's cards. So that's a pretty big swing to be capable of doing. Hopefully you want to be doing more than that, but even still, this is quite a great toolbox thing to be able to destroy with. If you're going against, Unchained or Rockets, then yeah, play carefully around that. But aside from that, it's had pretty good results. Next, we've got Yazi, Evil of the Yangzing. If you're not familiar with this, basically what you want to do is you have an opponent's card that you can destroy, synchro summon this, destroy itself, destroy one opponent's cards, and if you do successfully, you can special summon out a worm monster from your deck, that being Mare. Now, Mare's effect, as you may or may not be familiar, cannot be special summoned except by the effect of a worm monster. So that's why I went through so many pains to normal summon this in a weird, awkward situation. You only want to run one. Yeah, in the main situation you want to end up with is basically having it in your main phase, hopefully main phase 1. You can reduce this card's level by 1, and if you do, special summon one mini Mare token. It's a worm type, water, level 1, attack 300, defense 200. You can only use this effect of Mare up to thrice per turn, which is excellent because with those tokens, you can make some cool stuff. With that in mind, you go about it through that or through kind of like the hard means. You can make these two with one each of the mini Mare tokens generated. So from that, you've got a field that will end with one Mare, one mini Mare token, Link Spider, Link Rebo, and hey, that's 4 monsters with different names, which is just what you'd like to have to make a lovely Saryja Skulldread. This card is great, and I like the fact that on your first turn, in some situations, you can, do plays to make this. Certainly going second of game 1 and game 2, you're able to make this fairly easily if you're able to resolve making Yazi and go from there, because you've got suddenly 3 link arrows. It lets you, if you're using 3 different materials, once per turn during your main phase, you can special summon one monster from your hand. So that's great. But then even better is when this card is link summoned, you can draw 4 cards and place 3 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order. So you have great hand fixing for this deck that doesn't have too many garnets, but even so it can, fix up your Symphonic Warriors and things like that. And the fact that if a monster is normal or special summoned to a zone this card points to, that monster gains 300 attack and defense. This actually lets you chain block a bit if you're careful with it and everything, considering how many special summons and normal summons are going on constantly with this deck. So keep that in mind. That's a tool that you can also use quite effectively. Next, we've got Cleafort Genius. It's your Link 2 with 2 arrows facing in, pretty nice spots. That one has like a nice feature of if you are locked into just machine earth monsters, thanks to bonds or bones, then you're not restricted to that. It's 1,800 attack, and actually a nice bonus is that once per turn you can target one face-up card on each player's field except this card. Both those cards have their effects negated until the end of this turn. What you can do is, say for example, if you're synchro climbing, you can just use your synchro monster that's level 7 or level 8, use its effect, then turn its effect off, turn off one of your opponent's monster's effects, and then proceed to continue synchro climbing, because it still is turning off your opponent's card even if one of your cards leaves the field. So that's quite nice to have as an ability. Also the fact that this link summon card is unaffected by spell or trap effects, and the activated effects of other link monsters sometimes comes up, so that's nice. Then we've got Platinum Gadget, excellent extender. Man, this deck got so much easier to play even before the support came out with just having Platinum Gadget too. It gets you arrows, and during your main phase you can special summon one level 4 or lower machine monster from your hand to your zone this points to. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon one level 4 gadget monster from your deck. I used to combo this a lot with trying to make Scrap Dragon to destroy an opponent's monster and then bring out another gadget in its place. Turns out not to be the best combo, but at least the fact that if you're making this, yes, you can't use it as link material the turn it's link summoned, but that's not even the main priority for this. It's really just to get arrows, extend by special summoning from your hand for level 4 lower, so that's a whole variety of cards for this deck. And it has ability to float. Last one is Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon. It leads into what the side deck is effectively. but its materials are 1 Cyber Dragon monster and 1 monster in the extra monster zone. This is going to be hit a bit in April when people aren't always special summoning to the extra monster zone, but given how there's a lot of really good Link monsters coming out in Dual Overload, I'll kind of see how this turns out. I'm not quite sure. But it must be special summoned from the extra deck by sending the above cards from either field to the graveyard. You do not use polymerization. The original attack this card becomes 1,200 times the number of fusion materials used for the fusion summon. Main thing is, going second, you special summon out a Cyber Dragon monster, very important detail, and then you have it as, Link material, have this special summoned out, normal summon out one of your machine monsters and sort of get plays going to extend, but then you can make Platinum Gadget or Cleafor because it's a machine monster. But without further ado, let's get to the side deck. So starting with 2 Cosmic Cyclones, you just really hope there's not a lot of back row you have to deal with this being such a combo glass cannon deck. It's just not built to handle that stuff very well. So, against Altergeist, I know I'm going to have a bad time, for example. The way to retool that, I'm not quite sure. I just mostly rely on the fact that Brabu can target a card and banish it as removal for monsters or spells and traps. But this is also just quite handy to adapt a little bit, because Twin Twisters has good utility, but it's kind of hard to discard in this deck. Next, we've got 1 Kaiju. It's Earth as well. I was trying initially where it's, all being Earth matters, but it does a little bit if I'm also siding in, for example, the one and only King Litho Sagam the Disaster. This card is excellent, going first or second, to be honest, but yeah, I like this card quite a lot in a effectively mostly Earth machine deck, but Earth and Light, but a fair amount is Earth. You get the idea. Next, I've got 3 Toon Table of Contents. You know where this is going, because with those 3, I'll get to that in a second, but we've got 3 Dark Ruler No More to going second of whichever game. Just negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent controls until the end phase of this turn. It doesn't let me OTK because for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, your opponent takes no damage. So basically what you want to do is use this 1 card in hand to shut off your opponent's monster effects and dismantle things as efficiently as you can, because they'll be quite upset and want to come after you the game afterwards. Something that goes nicely with this, though, is Dark Hole, as silly as it is. Destroy all monsters on the field. You can even get, benefits off of your gadget cards or something like that if you sort of want to test the waters of your opponent, maybe getting baited into destroying one of the gadgets. Special summon out the gadget, Dark Hole on top of that, blow up their field, blow up your field as well, but you recover with another gadget from deck, and then you're sort of open to continue playing and everything from special summoning a level 4 machine from your hand, so that's nice. Then we've got 2 Toon Cyber Dragon to go with the Toon Table of Contents for 3 of these, so really easy to search out with this, and then the fact that it is a Cyber Dragon monster, according to the name, and rules to deal with that, quite excellent for going second. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, special summon this card from your hand. The rest is just not valid, basically. You primarily just have it for the namesake of this, and you can basically use this and an opponent's monster in the extra monster zone to smush them together to fusion summon Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon. Then you play any other machine and you're sort of off to the races for linking and synchroing, etc. So that sums it up for my Karakuri deck. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.